Hey, welcome to Greg Morton Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about the 5 best and 5 worst pieces of gear I had on my Florida Trail thru hike. All right, let's not beat around the bush with a bunch of, additional talk and words and whatever else, and we'll get right into it. So, number 5 for one of my favorite pieces of gear, the Melanzana Merino Wool Hoodie. This is a base layer. It's got the same kind of hood that the microgrid has, to include having the drawstring around the face portion of it. Obviously, there's no kangaroo pocket with this, but I slept in it, I hiked in it, I wore it, when it started to get the slightest bit chilly out, and I can't say enough about this gear. For the weight, it is extremely warm, and it doesn't stink. That's the other thing, is it's the merino wool has got the antibacterial property to it, so it's not going to stink on you. Extremely happy with this. This has now become like a permanent part of my kit, and I don't care if I was going to hike in 90-degree weather in the middle of the desert somewhere. I probably still take this with me. So yeah, this is a permanent addition to every time I go out backpacking. I wish I could have ranked it higher, and maybe I should have, but there's a lot of other things there that I think performed fantastic. All right, number 5 on the worst piece of gear. This is the Z-Pax Ultraplex Lite. I wanted to go with a one-person tent as light as possible. This fit the bill. The Ultraplex, did I say Ultraplex before? The Ultraplex is supposed to be longer than the regular Soloplex for folks that are 6 feet or taller. Every single night, my either my head or my foot or both, something was hitting the tent wall. It's just the way that they were sloped down so sharply from the apex of it. I was kind of hoping it was going to be more like the Six Moon Designs Lunar Solo. I used that on my AT thru hike and a bunch of other hikes. I love that tent. It is more like a tent and a half. And I thought I was kind of getting the same here because of the design. Definitely not. You don't have the same space with this as you do with the Solo there. And this is extremely finicky when it comes to setting it up. You're not going to get like a great pitch if the ground is unforgiving, meaning that, it's not totally 100% level, or, might be something going on. I'm not going to say never. Very few times that I get a pitch with this that I was really satisfied with. On the upside of it, I'm not just going to totally bash it. On the upside of it, extremely waterproof, did great in all the rain. The only problem I saw with this, and I'm not necessarily blaming the tent, and I'll say why, but when you're looking at the tent, so the two like front corners here, the way the vestibule came down, they were susceptible to getting splashback or maybe some direct rain coming in. In Florida, the winds would shift around a lot, especially when you're up along like the Gulf of America up there. The winds would shift. So you set it up for where the wind was blowing, and then next thing you know, and now it's blowing from a totally different direction. So I'm not totally faulting the tent on that. I'll fault Mother Nature. But yeah, not overly impressed with this tent. I'm not going to give up on it. I'm still going to use it because I paid $700 freaking dollars for this damn thing. And it is extremely light, and it does dry very quick. So, not going to totally give up on it, but I will keep my eye out for something better. Okay, number 4 on the gear that I really liked list, and that's going to go to the Vargo Triad stove. So what I like about this, even though I never used it in this capacity, it's an alcohol stove, or you can flip it over and you can put like an Espic cube there, or you can put some of that gel fire starter and use it that way. When you're using it in either way, you got the legs that come down here, if you're using on the ground, you press this down into the ground so you've got a nice stable platform. The only thing you can see here over time, the legs kind of wore, which I could probably fix that by crimping it with a pair of pliers. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're using it. The reason why I went with an alcohol stove instead of my normal canister stove is that on the Florida Trail, you don't have access to a lot of places that are going to have canister stoves. The good thing about this, so many different fuels you can use with this, preferably denatured alcohol that burns the cleanest and the fastest, the hottest. Then you can use heat, which is that gasoline additive to keep your fuel lines from freezing. Has the same type of alcohol in it that denatured alcohol has. It does have some other additives, so I wouldn't breathe in the fumes. You can use like a 91% rubbing alcohol or 70% rubbing alcohol if that's all you can get. And with those, rubbing alcohol burns with a yellow flame as well, so it produces a lot of soot. So your cook kit, your pot, is going to get soot on the bottom. So you definitely have to clean that up. It does get a little dirty in that sense. Several times, that's what I had to use was rubbing alcohol. Go into a Dollar Tree or Dollar General or something like that and get a bottle of rubbing alcohol because I couldn't get the denatured. I did buy the denatured whenever I could, just because it is a superior fuel. But I never had to worry about not finding fuel. And this worked like a champ. The only thing I'll say, and this is the truth about a lot of alcohol stoves, is that they're susceptible to wind. So if you're going to use one of these, I built a windscreen out of aluminum foil to go around it. You definitely need to put a windscreen on there to somehow block any slight breeze from coming in. But yeah, other than that, it worked great. It took maybe about 5 minutes to boil a pot of water, and you just blow it out, and any excess fuel that you didn't use, you just drain back into your bottle. So yeah, Vargo Triad. Fan of this one here. All right, this is number 4 for gear that I didn't like, and that's going to go to the Columbia Silver Ridge convertible pants, which I've got here. I wore these for the majority of the trail. There were other times I was wearing shorts, but the reason why I say I didn't like them is, I don't know if you can see it, there's stitching for the back pockets, on both back pockets. It wore out very early on. This cargo pocket here wore out very early on. The belt, which is like really thin and flimsy, kind of cuts into you. So a lot of times I didn't even wear a belt when I was hiking, and which really sucked when I lost weight because now my pants are sagging down. So I had some like trail hip hop vibe going there. So yeah, just overall not a big fan. And the other thing is, it's got this like really small belt, so the belt loops are really small, and you can't use a standard size belt, which is inch and a half, something like that. So I couldn't replace with one of the ones I had here. The plus side, they did dry very quickly, but they washed up fine and everything. But as far as comfort goes and durability, not a fan. I had to buy these in December, and that's after looking around all over Colorado Springs. I went to Mountain Chalet downtown. I went to Shields up north. A lot of the stores, and nobody had convertible pants, or if they did, they had like stupid sizes, like 48-inch waist or something, or 28-inch waist. So I ended up buying these online. I wanted to go with the Cool convertible because I love Cool pants. I got a pair on right now, and I had a pair of Cools for my Appalachian Trail hike. Totally love that brand. Their website, once again, all they had were like stupid big or small sizes. And I think they were gearing up, or they didn't have any convertible ones in stock during the winter time, because obviously most people aren't thinking about convertible pants then because they're not hiking a Florida trail. With that said, Would I buy these again? Absolutely not. I still have them here. I don't even know if I'm ever going to wear them again. But yeah, that's number 4. They're just not durable, not comfortable. All right, number 3 for the gear that I absolutely liked, and actually we've got a lot of clothing on this one. It is my Jolly Gear Triple Crown button-down shirt. I can't say enough about this shirt. It keeps you cool when it gets wet. It dries really fast. It doesn't absorb moisture like a sponge like some of these other fabrics. Antimicrobial, so it didn't really get funky. Now the pits did. Not gonna lie there. I was stinking, especially when I'm going like 8 days without taking a shower. And my pits were reeking. But the shirt really didn't. And I've got a video about this as well if you want to check it out. But this is definitely a great piece of clothing. And, I just love the versatility of it. So there were times when it got chilly, so I would put the hood up and kind of cinch it around my face and button up the shirt. Or other times when it got really hot, I just unbuttoned the entire shirt. And the sad thing is I had a tan line that was like a V here and then went straight down. From walking around with this open, because sometimes it's just so damn hot. But a great shirt overall, just a fantastic shirt. Like I said, it didn't stink. It washed very easily, so around like your wrists on the cuffs, and especially along your neck, it does get a little grimy and stuff like that. So whenever I wash it, just took a little liquid soap and hit those areas specifically with it. But yeah, washes up great, and this has got a lot of miles left, even though I was looking at the hood the other day, and this thing is kind of faded out in some spots. Let me see if I can show it to you. The difference in the colors there between the lower part of the sleeve and the shoulder. Stuff that is exposed to the sun. But I probably wore this for maybe 90% of my thru hike. Jolly Gear, triple crown button down. They run about $95. All different cool patterns and everything. They actually have a short sleeve version with some optional like arm sleeves. So if you want to get short sleeve, but you end up in a bunch of sun and you want to cover up your arms, you can do that. This didn't fail me. This was fantastic. Didn't get sunburned. So there we go. All right, number 3 for the gear that I did not like is going to go out to my D-Solo Talic 35 pack. This would have gone up to maybe 2 or number 1 position, except for their customer service. So what happened with that pack, and if you saw my videos, you probably saw what I'm talking about, is that the shoulders, the padding inside of it kind of like scrunched up and rolled and whatever else. And I think I've got some pictures I can throw up in this video somewhere. But kind of rolled and collapsed on itself and everything. So basically my shoulder just had like a strip of like fabric within the padding. There was no padding. I tried to cannibalize some of my 1/8 inch foam pad to make, some padding for the straps here to see if I could get it to still work. To no avail. That didn't work at all. So I was just going to trash it and call it quits after I got my new pack. Mrs. Outdoors sent me my 6 Moon Designs Swift V, and I was just going to trash it. And she's like, why don't you contact them to let them know what happened? And this way, if they need to change the design or something like that. So I sent them photos, corresponded. I believe it was the owner several times. And at one point he says, hey, that's under warranty. If you want, we can send you a new one. And I'm like, okay. So they sent a new one. I told them, color didn't matter, whatever you had. Because there's things about this pack that I really like. It is a very comfortable pack. For a frameless pack, it is very comfortable. There's things that I like it's got a removable Y strap. I mean, how many times you get sick and tired of messing around with the frickin' Y strap over the top of your pack when you don't frickin' use it. It's just something else. It's just ticks you off. The other thing I liked is, like the hip belt pockets that are actually towards the front of your body so you can get into them versus back here on the hip belts, which is just really inconvenient that way. I like the fact that, you don't have some 550 cord for freaking compression straps on the side. You don't need that much. I mean, come on. It's not like you're, ratchet strapping down, a canoe to the, the hood of your Subaru. So you don't need that much strength on the side. So go with something a little bit lighter. Like I said, I do like this pack. I like the design of it. I think there's some really thoughtful design went into this. So yeah, I've got it. And I will use it. Now, am I going to use it for a thru hike? Yeah, absolutely not. I don't think these are cut out for thru hikes. I think at the most I would go maybe 3 days worth of food and keep the water down to maybe less than 2 liters. So I think you want to keep the weight on this definitely below 20 pounds. Try and get close to 15 if you can. But like I said, for a 2 or 3 day pack in the summertime, this would definitely fit the bill. So I'm going to still have it here. I'm going to use it. And there we go. And like I said, if it weren't for their customer service, this would have gone up to number 2 or number 1. But the fact that they responded like that, that's really cool. So got to give them thumbs up on that right there. And, just if you have one of these packs, just keep in mind, it's not a thru hike pack. It's definitely, something for the weekend. Okay, number 2 for my favorite gear is going to a rain skirt. Yeah, so I was on AliExpress before I left. And I was looking at some things and actually picked up some titanium tent stakes, which the Shepherd hooks were fine. The other ones sucked, but that's a whole nother story. So this is one of those 3FUL from that company, the one that makes a Lanshan. And yeah, this is a freaking rain skirt. So something else I'd never tried before, and I'm like, all right, let me give it a shot. I always had rain pants with me. I didn't really wear them that much. I mostly wore them if I needed to stay warm. What I found with this is not only packs down really small and it's really light, but from waist to knee, my legs were nice and warm. Below that, it didn't really matter. But from waist to knee, it kept them dry, it kept them warm. And really, couldn't ask more from this. Now, I will say, when this fabric got wet, it had a tendency to kind of crinkle up a little bit. So I don't know why, whatever it's made out of. This wasn't expensive. It was $29, I think, at the most. I will get another rain skirt, not one of these, but from a different company. So I was really impressed by how this works as a rain skirt. The other thing I would do with it is I'd take it at night and I would have my pack and my shoes outside my tent. So I would drape this over top of the shoes in the pack to keep them from getting wet from the morning dew dropping down on them. So it kept my shoes and my pack dry at night. When I got to my tent, I would lay this out in front of my vestibule, so when I'm taking off my shoes and everything, I can put my feet on this and not on the ground. So try and keep your socks and your feet maybe a little bit cleaner. I'd use it for lay it out if I needed to keep gear organized. So those of you who like to organize your gear as you're packing up your tent and you put it on a piece of Tyvek or something like that, that's what I would use this for, to lay it out there like that. Work fine to keep everything organized. Yeah, so it's a multi-use piece of equipment. So if you are one of those that has like what they call like the Tyvek doormats or something like that, you might want to get one of these and get rid of your rain pants and get rid of your doormat and stuff like that, and just use this. Yeah. All right, number 2 for gear that I did not like, and I don't have it with me because I threw it away, and that is my 1/8 inch foam pad from Gossamer Gear. Oh man. So, I originally got it to put under a sleeping pad to kind of keep it from sliding around, and maybe add like an additional warmth to it. Excuse me, I really didn't see a difference when it came to the warmth, and honestly, with this tent here with the Altaplex, I really didn't slide around a lot with it. For a sit pad, it didn't matter because with the, let me pull it out here, with the DeSolo, it's got a sit pad that's back here on the back portion of the pack. So I had a sit pad, so I didn't necessarily need to use it for that. Like I said, I tried to cannibalize some of it to make the straps, add some more padding to the straps there of the pack. And what I saw was that stuff would just squish down to the point where it would be like paper thin. So, and it wouldn't bounce back at all. It would just flatten out and be worthless. And if you guys watch my video, you'll know that I had an issue with a sleeping pad. And for about 2 weeks, until I got my Nemo tensor sent to me, I slept on the ground and I was sleeping on that pad. And even though I doubled it up and stuff like that to put it underneath my hips, once again, I woke up in the morning and it was like this thick. So honestly, it was freaking worthless. And granted, it didn't take up, much weight. It did take up some space because it was kind of bulky, but it was worthless. I can't see anything positive from it. And I know I'm probably going to get some hate for that because I'm sure somebody's watching this going, oh, it's the best thing ever. Well, that's great. If it works for you, didn't work for me. And I wouldn't recommend anybody buying one of those. Just buy like a regular Z-seat or something like that. And if you're worried about, why put it underneath my pad to keep my pad from sliding, get a tube of silicone. Just put some dots underneath your pad. And now it's got like rubber little grippy things, like those socks that they give you in the hospital, with the rubber grip to them. Same thing. Now you got these little dots that are, gripping your tent, and your pad's not going to slide around. But don't waste your time. Don't waste your money on that 1/8 inch pad. All right, number 1 on my list for gear that I absolutely loved. If you watch the videos, you might have an idea what it is. That is my 6 Moon Designs carbon sun umbrella. Oh my goodness, I love this thing. Unfortunately, it got a little tore up there, branches or whatever grabbing it. I found this to be a total game changer. Now, I didn't go without a rain jacket, and 2 reasons. One, when you're in camp and if it's raining, you don't want to try and walk around, put your tent up and hold on to this. So you want a rain jacket for that. The other thing is I more so used the rain jacket as like a wind shell as part of my cold weather setup, my layering. So that was, like I said, the shell that went over top of my my hoodie and my shirts and my merino wool hoodie. So I did have that. And when it rained, I put it on. A lot of times I wouldn't zip it up or anything, and I'd have the umbrella. The great thing about what the umbrella did was from here up, definitely, you didn't have to put your hood up and stuff like that. You didn't have rain dripping in your face. You can get your phone out and do stuff on your phone, check far out without rain falling on it. And if you ever try to use your phone in the rain, or if you have like a lot of sweat or something on it, if the screen's wet, you'll see it does all sorts of weird shit. So it was kind of like having a little your own personal shelter, having this with you. The other thing is, I mean, what it was designed for, and that's being a sun umbrella. You know, I'm in the Sunshine State, especially down south. Some of those days, it was freaking sweltering hot, and there was nothing like having mobile shade with you. This was fantastic when it came to that. It was so nice, so refreshing to walk around and be, 10, maybe 15 degrees cooler because you're in the shade. And I've used this, out here in Colorado, same thing. We get 300 days of sunshine every year. And especially on like the Colorado Trail, a lot of that up on these ridge lines, you're exposed. So, you're just getting direct sun. And sun hoodies are great and everything. But for me, having the hood up and everything, cause you to get hot or hotter. With this on, yeah, you don't have to put that up. You can just go cruising around with your portable shade, and it's fantastic. So this is something else that I will always have with me, and I don't care where I'm going, I will always have this umbrella. And number one for my gear that I didn't like list, I'm going with the Thermarest Uber Light sleeping pad. Yeah, and I might have some pictures of it I'll post here. So I used it a few times back here in Colorado, and everything was fine with it. Yeah, I slept great. I thought it was very comfortable. God knows, extremely light. The first night, I had a baffle at the foot end blow out. All right, and I'm like, all right, and what I mean is the weld between the baffles on the very end there broke. The seal broke. So now that foot end baffle down there was larger, the size of 2. So I thought, okay, no big deal. I'll roll with it. It's okay. The next night, another one blew out. Again, didn't think much about it. Wasn't really making a difference until the third night, and I had like 10. Just bam, bam, bam. And the thing is, when they pop, they're not quiet. It sounds like a freaking gunshot. So I was in the church there on the Seminole Reservation, and I was sleeping inside, and there were other people sleeping inside too. And just, yeah, throughout the night, bang, bang. And, at that point, I couldn't sleep on it because the foot end was now swollen. So you couldn't even like lay with your legs on both sides of that portion of the pad. It was just extremely uncomfortable. So that started using my 1/8 inch foam pad to sleep on. I contacted Thermarest, actually because I had talked to somebody in the church that night. They had the same problem. So they contacted them about their Uber Light. Thermarest sent a new one. That one blew out. They contacted them. Thermarest ended up sending them one, the X Lights, and that was that. So I contacted Thermarest and I sent pictures and I said, hey, this is what's going on. I'm hiking the Florida Trail. I'm through hiking. This is what happened with your pad. This is on day 3. I'm screwed. But I kept the pad with me, and here you go. Days later, I still don't hear anything back. So the other couple told me that when they did a replacement like that, you would have to send in the picture of like the tracking number or the fulfillment number written on the old pad, and you had to destroy it. So I didn't have anything like that, so I just destroyed the pad, and I sent them pictures and said, hey, I can no longer carry this. It's dead weight. So I cut it in half and sent them a picture of it. Still didn't hear anything. Almost a month later, and I finally hear back from Thermarest's parent company. And they're asking for a stupid receipt. I'm like, yo, homie, I'm on the freaking Florida Trail. Let me check. I don't have any receipts on me. So I told him, I'm like, hey, I don't have any receipts. I might have something at home to prove the date of purchase, but I don't have anything with me. And their response was, okay, we'll just keep your claim open. Yeah, that's great customer service. Your product shit the bed on me on day 3, and you're not like, oops, our bad, let's get you a replacement, most Ricky Tick. No, their response was, yeah, okay, we'll just keep the claim open. In the meantime, I get my my Nemo pad. Everything's great. Use that for the rest of the hike. Awesome. I get back home, and I don't do a lot of shopping on Amazon, but I was looking for something in particular, and my wife's got an account, and I jumped on it, and down at the bottom, it had an Uberlite pad. It said something like, if you're interested or something like that. So I started looking through the history. Lo and behold, I ordered that pad through Amazon on her account. So I grabbed all that information, emailed it off to the frickin' jokers there over at Thermarest. And like 2 weeks later, they came back and said, oh, okay, well, we don't make that pad anymore, so we're just going to send you one of the Exolite, the NXT ones, one of the new ones. Great. It's sitting in that box up there where it's probably going to sit. I will never buy another Thermarest product. I've got other companies I dealt with. Well, for one, D-Solo. The other one is Perea. No hassles whatsoever when it came to making a warranty claim. No hassles at all. Hey, not a problem. We got you covered. And these are small cottage companies, especially D-Solo is a very small company. But here you've got a giant, which has got the mothership corporation, which has a bunch of other different corporations under it. And, they're giving me a freaking hard time. So, their customer service, big fat freaking goose egg. And their product, a big fat freaking goose egg. So, to that, I say Thermarest, never going to use your shit again. So there we go. There's my top 5 and bottom 5 for the gear that I used on the Florida Trail. Now, this is just my own personal opinion. You guys might have different experiences with some of this stuff. And if so, please, let us know down below. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys watching because, you guys love gear videos. I love gear videos, okay? We're all what I call geardos. And there's nothing wrong with that. And speaking of which, I'm going to have another video coming up for what's in this box. Another new piece of gear there. And also, I got some trips I'm planning on in the near future. So stay tuned. Hey, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up, all that cool stuff. So, YouTube can send me some money. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.